Good evening. Hello. Sorry to be late. I was a little bit late with the client, just came from the boutique. In general, I couldn't go on there before. Well, I see you're already joining us. We will have enough time. We will do everything as planned. So I'm glad to welcome you today. Who doesn't know me? My name is Jenya Baglyk. I'm the founder of JBFaceSchool, and today our broadcast is dedicated to coaching. Because we have been training coaches for a long time according to my methodology and certifying them. And today I will tell you how this happens. What do you need for this and how much it costs? And the most interesting thing is that three of my graduates, three coaches who live in different cities, organize their activities in different ways, which are very successful, will join us today. And they will share their story and tell how they did it and why they decided to become a coach. They will also tell how they work, whether there are nuances in the work. It will be very interesting, so do not switch, be with us, and you will be able to ask questions. And I'm already predicting some tricky questions here. These are absolutely real people. I will note them in the description of the broadcast. You can go to their account, see that these are real people who work and who trained with us. Of course, you can ask questions that relate to coaching training and ask everything that interests you. And today I will tell everything. So I'll start our conversation for about 10-15 minutes and then we'll start connecting our guests. The first guest will be Elena Lopova and then the other two girls. So just before the new year, literally on the 27th of December, I took the exam and our 182nd coach graduated. All over the world, there are 182 coaches who studied according to my methodology, who have a certificate, and who are great specialists. What do you need to train as a coach? First of all, you need a desire, because our training is very fundamental and quite voluminous. It's expensive enough. You need to take part in it if you really feel the desire and you like the face building. Not just for yourself, but also for the client, and you're a real fan of it. You're so keen on classes that you want to share with other women and men and teach them. That's the first thing we need. How you're going to be trained as a coach? Firstly, training for a coach lasts an average of half a year. Why? Because it consists of 7 modules, studying which you gradually enter the profession. You all study what you will need to continue working with live customers. These are not some video recordings that you watch and then you won't know what to do. These are not some seminars where 200 people and you also just listened and then it's not clear what to do. We have classes of many groups. We have a maximum of 5 people in the group on the stream, and therefore a lot of attention is paid to each student by the coach and a lot of attention by the creator. At the end of training comes out a person who can already start working, who knows what to do without disintegrating into a puddle in front of a client, who won't tell something incomprehensible to the customers, who will really provide high-quality services. As I said before, we have 7 modules of training, and in general, the course is designed for those who start from the scratch. It means you didn't study something by yourself. Maybe you looked something on the internet or your friends were involved and you want to learn too. You can come from scratch. The first module includes all the technique you study by yourself, how to properly perform exercises, how to properly work with muscles, and then all the subsequent modules or how to teach others. If you already studied with us, you have already completed some courses for yourself. Then, accordingly, you can start training from the second module, because the second module is about the anatomy of the face. We have a whole module dedicated to the anatomy of the face so that you can learn everything. The structure of muscles, the structure of bones, the structure of kinetic tissue, the structure of the skin, necessary blood circulation, lymphatic flow, and the nervous system of the face. At the last lecture, we have the theory of aging and the theory of classification of faces. By aging, by type of wrinkles, and so on. All this is in the second module, because as I said, we have a fundamental learning. I have no idea how can a person be called a professional without this knowledge, because if you just learn by heart some exercises and you pronounce them remarks or just show somebody, then as soon as you are asked a question, you will get into a mess because you know nothing. Therefore, it's very important to study anatomy. The second module is just about anatomy, and then we have a facial diagnostic module. You'll learn to diagnose your face. These are practical exercises. Our coaching course consists of 80% of practice. You learn to diagnose on real people, on models that are present in classes, on each other. And all this is under the supervision of your curator, your coach, who teaches you. You must do your homework, write diagnostics, then it is checked and discussed, and so on. There is a module on teaching methods. There you are taught how to explain the exercise correctly so that the person understands, because it's two differences when you know how to do exercises and when you need to teach another person who doesn't know how to do it correctly. And usually on this stage appears a real problem because you don't know how to do it, and this is really a special technique that's not so simple. It's not so hard to learn, but it's not easy. If you have not learned it earlier, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to explain and teach qualitatively. We have a module how to conduct group classes. We specifically assemble a group and you train to teach in a group. There are individual workout classes with modules. You, your model, and your coach meet and you learn to teach a real person. Where can you find a course with so much practice and with a chance to train everything? And when you have a real client, in future you know what to do because you have already done it. We also have a separate promotion module. When you have already studied everything regarding coaching, you study promotion, how to start, how to make your profile on social networks, how to submit yourself correctly, how to describe your services, and so on. This module is read by our SMM specialist, a specialist from JBFaceSchool. Therefore, you can understand that this is not an outsider. It's a real specialist who has been working with us for more than a year. She reads this module completely. Further, after ending this training, you have a mandatory independent practice. It means that you practice by yourself with at least 2 modules, while there is a whole course that you must take with one module and with another. You write a practice report as you wrote a thesis at the university. Here the same, you write a practice report. You send it to your handler, he checks and gives you a feedback. We had such cases when some reports were sent for revision because they must be redone and so on. And only after that, after independent practice, you're allowed to pass the exam. I always take the exam because you're trained by another coach. We will build our course this way. I conduct a full anatomy module and I conduct other lectures in some modules and organize work on teaching methods. The rest of the time, a coaching instructor is with you. This is either Elena Belskaya or Julia Tikhanova or Marina Platonova. These are the top coaches who have the greatest experience in JBFaceSchool. They are very cool specialists. Accordingly, they train coaches. I personally take the exam. The exam passes one-on-one, you, the model, and me. The model is a person you've never seen, and you see for the first time. And you fully conduct the entire set of exercises that you have to do specifically with this person. Do diagnostics, pick up the complex, and everything. It happens at the exam. Only when you have all done is considered that you have passed the exams, and you do receive a certificate that you have completed the training, and that you can now teach personal classes, group classes, online and offline. We are trained online. It all takes place in Zoom. There is always a two-way connection. You see your curator, or if I conduct, you see me. I see each of you, and this is a completely two-way connection where everything is perfectly visible and you won't miss anything. People from all over the world train with us this way because it's available online. The model is also connected. You learn how to explain exercises correctly, correct mistakes, see diagnostics, determine asymmetries, and so on. This is how the training passes. So at the end, there is a real specialist who is ready to start working with customers right away. Moreover, we have a coaching club at JBFaceSchool. There are coaches who want to be in touch with us all the time, undergo training, because there we constantly do advanced training. I was reminded right now that there is a webinar in parallel at the coaching club at the moment. We constantly have webinars twice a week. Our coaches conduct or we invite third-party specialists in order to increase the professionalism and knowledge of the coach. Plus, we have advanced training every year and a half. So I say with all responsibility that we really have the coolest training. I know that those specialists who have studied with us are ready to work, and they won't ruin your face, and they will really lead you to the result. If you have any questions about coach training, please write now. Just in a minute, I will connect the first coach. By the way, I didn't tell anything about the cost. I said from the beginning that we have an expensive training. Training costs $2,500 if you study in a group, because there is an individual format when you study alone, and a coach is attached to you and constantly leads you. This isn't cheap, but it's worth it because we have a high quality training. The training is cool, and you really come out as a cool specialist who can earn on his knowledge. You can pay, of course, in installments. You can discuss this with our manager. Our managers can offer you a program in which you will pay installments, so it's all possible. And moreover, we also provide training in English. Now we are training a girl who is from Jordan, if I'm not mistaken. And in English, Elena Belskaya teaches her. We translated this broadcast into English so that people could listen. So you can study in English because Elena Belskaya, Julia Tikhanova, and I speak English fluently. We teach in English. We are fluent in English. There is no problem with that. I literally need to answer a very urgent message for a minute. So please write your questions if you have some, and I will connect our guest who will tell and share some information about herself. So I'm connecting Elena. Now we will listen to the first guest, Elena Lopova. Lena, if you see me, you can send me a request. Or now I'll try to send you a request. No, just 1 second. Hello! I met Lena 2 hours before. Yes, Kyiv is a big village. The world is cramped. Generally, yes. Well, you can send likes and hearts right into the chat. Our first guest is Elena Lopova. She's also a face building coach. She's also a beautician. She has a salon in the center of Kyiv. I've also been on procedures many times. She's a very cool specialist. She has a very cool salon. She'll tell you more about it. She lives in Kyiv, as I said. Today we will have girls from different countries and from different cities. Viewers actively began to send hearts to chat. Thank you very much, I'm pleased. So the first question, how did you become fond of face building and why did you decide to study as a trainer? Why was there such a desire? Everything happened 4 years ago, or maybe even more. I'm a physician by training, a dermatologist, and before that, I had been doing this for 8 years. That means 12 years ago, I began to practice injections. Most doctors come to cosmetology, and the first thing they start doing are injections. For 8 years, I practiced injections, and I know all kinds of injection techniques. I had a category of clients that were not injected, but they looked very good. And there was one client, Anna. She can probably watch our broadcast now. She's also from Kyiv, and she came to me for a cleaning procedure regularly. She came once a month, and she was an opponent of injection. And I saw how elastic was her skin, and all the muscles were clearly expressed. Everything tightened and beautiful. It looked like as if a professional beautician was working with her. I asked her what was her secret. She told me she was involved in face building. The universe seemed to hear me, and I had already monitored the market, studied a lot of schools, different directions, and I was interested in it. It's interesting from the point of view that in 8 years of work in cosmetology and medical aesthetics, I understood that this is all camouflage. I really understood that this is a result that is even instantaneous, but it's not physiological, and this is kind of fraught with side effects and complications. I went through it all, and I knew all this, and I was looking for an alternative. 7 years ago, I had such a device in my office using Nazarev's technology. There was such a famous biomechanical scientist, so it was based on the vibration, and this is considered as passive facial gymnastics. Working with this technique, I already realized that indeed most cosmetologists and in general cosmetology is aimed mainly at working with skin. And there are very few techniques that work with muscles. These are hand massages, this can be hardware massages and microcurrents, and in principle everything else is only with the surface of the skin. The surface of the skin must be cared for, of course, but what about muscles and deeper structures? There was always a question. The first bell was a biochemical stimulation based on vibration, and the second bell occurred when my regular client came to the studio and said that she was engaged in facial gymnastics. That's how it all happened. Then your school moved right across the road to the center where my studio is located, and I thought that was it. After the new year, 4 years ago, when I had basic training, I took 5 classes for myself, to find out what it was. Does this mean we have an anniversary today? Yes, we can say so. Perfect. Cool in general. Well, tell me, did you stop doing injections in your salon after you finished training? Yes, I was studied with Julia Tikhanova. I finished the basic course and we were all photographed. Despite the fact that I didn't work with you, Julia worked so professionally and I realized that it wasn't just a scam. Sorry for the slang. Then, when I compared the photos after 5 classes, there were photos before and after. I saw the result. I saw my reflection in the transport or in the shop window. I began to like myself. Although I certainly understand that I have access to the most famous brands, the best brands of cosmetics, and all this I can use for myself. But I needed that training. And when I completed the basic course, just 2 weeks later, there was a course for the advanced. I saw the result. When you get the result, you realize that this is my time. And when you see the result, you won't use double standards. I do not understand how to hold a syringe in one hand and, on the other hand, promote physiological methods to support beauty, health, and youth. There are discrepancies, and I had to make a decision, although in fact I didn't face a choice. My path has been determined, and yes, many colleagues still believe that I'm crazy, that having a high medical education, being a dermatologist, in fact, I was 44 years old when I decided to change everything like this. I'm really happy. I was told that injections are 5 minutes of work and you have money in your pocket. And here you need to train. Tell everyone the information. It needs extra costs. How did people perceive the information that you won't do injections anymore? By the way, they still write. It's necessary to do Botox injections for me. But I haven't been practicing for 4 years. And some people say, well, don't tell me you're out of school. But it's not that I forgot how to. I'm just going against it. Part of the client base has changed, but I won't talk here about the fact that everyone has become the same as me. I recently analyzed all this. I have a full analyst since 2016. In general, I was such a soft injectionist. I wasn't waiting for a client with a syringe in my hand. I always talked with people, and if there was at least one slightest confrontation, then I didn't just insist. Just like now, there is partly a category of clients who come to me for physiological procedures, but still, I know that they are initiated somewhere there. I'm calm about it. Why? Because everyone has a choice, and they know that I won't stand with my hands on my hips and say, had been injected? Then why do you come to me? Therefore, everyone has a choice. There are people who remain with me and those who joined me. I'm very glad, because it's completely different in saturation, in feeling. Because everything around you changes, and the universe sends you moments when it's physical activity for the muscles of the face and neck, but it contributes to the production of hormones of happiness, joy, and this is immeasurable with the pain you experience when initiating. Well, by the way, yes, right, forget, but for beauty you can tolerate as many as say. Well, probably yes, but yesterday and today I have days of defeating the consequences of injection cosmetology. My old clients, clients of friends, send me their photos. 2 cases of botulinum toxin. This is the direct law of paired cases. And another initiation with side effects. Panic, what to do, please help. Now is the time when I will solve all these questions, because before the new year, it's usually the peak initiation of botulinum toxin. They still want to be beautiful for the new year. Well, yes, of course. People do not take into account that there may be side effects and do not take into account that there are certain restrictions. Perhaps not everyone complies. I'm not saying that these are medical mistakes, but nevertheless, just 2 weeks is the time when botulotoxin should take place, as doctors say. So now I have the law of paired cases. There was a case with the upper eyelid. Women are in panic. I need to help. Unfortunately, there are no antidotes for botulotoxin. Yeah, they should just wait for some time. Time, yes. The general strengthening vitamins of group B, microcurrents, need to restore muscle nerve conduction so that impulse arises again, so that facial expressions recover. Well, the time is not quick. Yes, how do you use exercises in your work? Do you have some clients whom you recommend and with whom you deal separately? Because as I know, you do face exercises on Saturdays in Instagram. Yeah, I do it every Saturday. The broadcast began in lockdown. We opposed it, and on Saturdays during the past year, I did morning live broadcasts, where we studied in classes, online and offline. There are some people who have dealt with me individually and practice it further. I have a studio in Prague and it's something new for them. I gathered groups there and we had group classes. Back then, they didn't talk about online so openly because it was 3 years ago. And so far, those people who were engaged with me offline, they are engaged with me and currently online. Great, super! I also want to say that when I chose a school and thought about how to go through training, because everyone chooses according to their temperament, analysis, thank God that there is an opportunity to study everything before starting. Look at coaches, look at the teaching method. A professional approach was important for me. Because I have a medical education, I focus on it. We all feel, analyze where we are misled, where the teacher's anatomy is not so good, where one begins to go wobbly, and I was actually really surprised that you had everything best in your school. If you want to become a professional, it's not like advertising, but let it be so. This is the best school, really. I studied many approaches, I won't list, but it's great that I got to your school and studied with you. Thank you so much. So nice of you. Thank you. Please write to us if you have any questions for Elena. I want to ask you another question. Please tell me about the serum around your eyes. You have some innovations there, I know. Nothing stands still. I have a relative who calls me a restless person. I can't stop. I'll get bored if I don't study something new. The new stage in my life was face building. A year ago, I discovered cosmetic chemistry. It's clear that I studied chemistry and biochemistry at university, but this is more interesting because time flows, the world changes, we become smarter. And my clients and guests become smarter too. And when you start recommending cosmetics, they all look at the composition and questions arise, such as why is there mineral oil? You know this mask Cinderella, the Woolman company. If we take a look at its composition, it's horrible. There are cosmetics when you trust professional brands, but when you start reading the label, many questions arise. So I took courses, special training in cosmetology, in order to understand compositions, combinations, what is good and what is bad. And then I found a very cool recipe. I call this prescription anti-Botox serum for those who don't want to be initiated. What is the point? Probably many viewers know what peptides are. These are small amino acid molecules, but the whole task is that it's very difficult to deliver them to their destination. And the Spaniards invented a special delivery system called drones. We're used to having drones. Yes, we are. So here everything exactly falls into the target. I use the Spanish technology and Spanish ingredients. 2 drones are needed for it. First drone, I can't say it works like Botox, but it also works like something that sends a signal and less frees up a special protein. It's in general, I won't tell about specific terms. Reduced facial activity and facial expressions become less active. That is, we apply this serum in order to somehow relax and reduce this activity. And the second drone stimulates fibroblasts. These are skin cells, so they work to produce hyaluronic acid, and this way we feel wrinkles. On the one hand, we slow down a little, and on the other hand, we immediately fill up. The Spaniards conducted a post-study that after 2 weeks, 14 days, the depth of wrinkles decreased by 35%. This is a very good indicator. It never happens that 100% can be removed. This is cosmetics. This must be understood. But the minimum dose and exactly on target, it works great. Especially peptides are considered to be safe components. I will tell it one more time that this is not a toxin. Therefore, I have such a recipe. I made such a serum. There are only 3 components, and I also chose a bottle. The bottle immediately goes with the roller we apply and massage. In general, it's very cool. Here I praise myself. Maybe it sounds like advertising, but this is a very good product. Super cool! It's all great, really. But still, we get cosmeceuticals, or what can we call it? It is considered more natural. The options are offered more sparing now. Yes, and not a very large composition. Minimum composition, which is very working, with special delivery systems, safety at the first place. Therefore, cosmeceuticals is also developing. Some days we may come to the point that we can become forever young. Although today, epigenetically, we can influence on all factors of age change. The same face building is an epigenetic impact. Yes, 100%. It's as well as cosmeceuticals can affect it. That's all. Great, thank you so much. You look wonderful. Thank you very much. We all know why. I will note Lena in the description of this broadcast, and you can check the page of her salon and subscribe. I suggest you to do it. I was glad to see you. An online and offline meeting, 2 hits for today. Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening, and I'm looking forward to see you. I advise everyone to listen to the next girls trainers. Thanks to everyone. I'm looking forward to see you too. Bye bye. What a wonderful girl was our first guest. I'll switch now. Okay, well, I saw how many hearts you sent to Elena. She told us everything very interesting. Imagine what a path has a person from the point that she injected to the fact that she completely abandoned it. In general, I won't add anything else because she told everything very cool. Now, I want to connect our second guest. This is also our certified trainer. Her name is Zita, and she lives in Italy. And now, I will add her. She will tell how she works as a face building coach in Italy. Well, listen to her now. Feel free to ask questions. Zita, hello! Hi, hello everyone. It's very nice to see you. It's so beautiful there at your place. Yes, my certificates. You can see them right here. Great, very happy to see you. I'm glad to see you too. Thank you very much for inviting. Have you heard Elena's story? Yes, I heard so much. Well done, Elena. I have already signed up on her. Oh, very nice of you. Okay, well, I actually introduced you already. Zita has been living in Italy for a very long time. She's actually Ukrainian, but she moved to Italy a very long time ago. And when she studied, she already lived there. She works completely in Italy, teaches there in Italian, and now she will tell us everything. Tell us, please, why did you decide to study? And why did you decide to learn to be a coach? I started studying because I saw my wrinkles. That was the first thing I noticed. I was a housewife back then. It wasn't so easy for me to start. I'll tell you my story too, and perhaps it will be interesting for others. I was a housewife. Of course, only the husband worked. So I see people are asking questions about my age. I'm 40. I don't know whether it's a lot or not. In 2013, I already watched some videos on YouTube. I saw my wrinkles and realized that I wasn't young, but I'm getting older and was interested in how to keep my youth without changing my appearance. And then I read on the website about facial gymnastics and thought about the fact that we have muscles on our faces and began to study this topic. At first, I tried to train on YouTube. There weren't too many videos, and of course, I aggravated my nose and realized that something was wrong. I started looking again until I found you and a program called Everything Will Be Fine. Since I liked our language, because everything is in Italian, I watched this program. You were there as an expert and I fell in love. I was trustworthy and wanted to learn. I was looking for your videos, tried everything and saw the result. And I realized it worked. And then I realized why other techniques don't work. In the techniques I saw, there was no fixation. Safety was on the first place for me, so I originally wanted to go to your course. I asked my husband, but he said that it was all stupid, and at that time I wasn't working. I had a small child. First of all, I asked my mother and my husband for these courses as a birthday present for me. I really saw some changes on my face. I began to like myself. The skin became fresh and I realized that it worked. Everyone got tired of me talking about facial gymnastics, and after that, I thought that this could really become my job because I just spoke about it every time. I decided to work as an instructor, but it's costly. I asked my husband again. He told me again that it was all stupid, that no one was talking about facial gymnastics. It was 6 years ago. 1 year he persuaded me not to go to these courses, but enrolled in sewing courses and said that after them I would definitely get a job. I suffered for a year and thought how someone could influence on me. And I couldn't insist on my wishes, and it was difficult for me. There are many girls who depend either on their husband or on their salaries, but I decided that at the end of the year, in December, it will be Christmas, and everyone understands that we can make a wish on this holiday. I knew I wanted this course. I refused everything and even diamond rings and asked my husband for a certificate. He said it was just a piece of paper and it was for nothing, but I insisted. Being pregnant with my second child, I already passed the exam, so that's how I did it. I wanted to go to you, your technique, your safety, you have everything. I heard that you have a promotion and that's definitely worth going to the course. I'm very glad that I came. I'd even pass it again. You're in a coaching club. We have a lot of things there. How did you start working? Who did you teach first? Was it difficult or easy? Tell us, please. Yeah, first I taught parents in the kindergarten where I took my son and I suggested them practice for free. I just started with free practice. We took photos before and after, watched the results. I was also interested in seeing what would come out of it. And then parents told to other parents about this gymnastics. After I was recommended by one mother from the kindergarten to a woman in a pharmaceutical center, and she invited me to teach courses. First I did it for free, then for a small cost until I became more confident. Then slowly we began to engage in group classes, and it was necessary to go online during the lockdowns. It was even more convenient for me because I could organize a free work schedule, drive children to school. For me, remote work is even better than going somewhere. I feel more calm. I could work from a certain period and devote time to myself. I'm very happy to talk about my work and it doesn't bother me. That's great. You have such an interesting story. How smart you are. In fact, Zita is a very good trainer. She tries and works well. She held classes in our coaching club. She has very cool tips for work and a really cool experience. You can work out some ways of communicating with clients to build a relationship, which is very cool. I know that you're working in Instagram. Yes, I have an Instagram page. I also do reality shows once a year. Do them for free with one client, purely for the sake of the result. Because not everyone believes in the result. I take a client who doesn't believe, who needs some kind of change, and for 2 years I've been spending such realities. Subscribers see how a person changes. I almost work online, only now there is a club in Instagram in which we are engaged and individual classes. Do you have a lot of work time? It depends on me. I may have 5 lectures a day, but sometimes it happens that I lose my voice, so it happens that I write them down. Perfect! We decide with customers what we will study specifically, and I consider it as my hobby. I do it conveniently for myself and for customers. That's so great! How smart you are! I'm honestly trying. Do you only teach Italians or people of other nations too? So far, I teach only in Italian. How do you work with Italians? Do they like to make Botox injections, or is it not so common in Italy? Are they attentive to their appearance or not? Girls from Ukraine and Russia are probably more attentive. Italians don't care. They don't really pay attention to their appearance. Therefore, at first it was difficult because they didn't know what facial gymnastics was, why it was intended, why do they need it. They pay attention only to their clothing. It was difficult for them to understand what it is all. Now, I have more experts in this area. They are not competitors for me, but vice versa. You develop culture together. Yeah, there are people who talk about it too, and now it's not only that just I speak about it. Customers still choose a person with whom it's nice to communicate, who can be trusted. I need to be listened to for an hour, and I may not approach everyone. Every person has his own opinion, and an own master. That's for sure. And are there any men in your classes? Yes, there is a man who has been engaged for more than a year. Wow! And he studies not twice, but 3 times a week. I wanted him to study a little less because I don't really want to work with men, but he insists on doing it 3 times a week. He's trying very hard. I offered him half an hour first, but he insisted on studying half an hour. He can only take a break to drink water and works without stopping. Oh, it's great. It's really a man? Yes, he's Italian, but he studies only online. I'm very grateful for the fact that I could learn online. I didn't have the opportunity to come to you to Kiev, and online it turns out even more economically. Yes, definitely. The time is saved and there is no need to go anywhere. And the room in a hotel doesn't need to be booked. This is both economical and convenient. Online is convenient for work too. You can work everywhere in the world. Wherever I am, I can work with my clients. It doesn't take all day long. I no longer work for an hour, only with regular customers. You're a great trainer. It's all very wonderful. Every time I see you, you get more wonderful. Yes, because I like it very much. It's not a job. I constantly speak about facial gymnastics and it doesn't bother. That's great. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for Zita? Write down if there are any questions. I will note her too. You can log into her account and subscribe to it. Maybe there is someone here from Italy. If yes, then write down please. I'm now logged in from another account. I have another working account. Maybe someone will be interested. If there are any questions, I will answer. Yes, let's wait for the questions because they're only hard so far. When I listen to these coach stories, I get surprised because they are all magical and it's very cool that all people unite. Maybe I'll go to Italy someday and finally we'll meet. Of course, we've been waiting to meet each other for a long time. Yes, it will happen 100%. There are people who are discouraged by the fact that it's expensive. But I believe that if this is a high quality product, then the money will come to what we need. When I was sure that I wanted this course, I had money for it. I was collecting because I had a goal, so it's all possible. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to see you. I'll see you at the coaching club. Thank you very much. Bye. Well, today is such a beautiful broadcast. I'm delighted with what energy Zita and Lena have, how different they are, and at the same time, they are very interesting girls. We have another guest, Victoria. I will add her right now. Write down if you have any questions. Also, write what impressions you have after the girls' performance. They came to this profession in different ways. Lena is a doctor with a medical education. She came in through injections. Zita wasn't engaged in this area at all. She was a housewife and decided to change her life, and this is very inspiring. In our coaching club, there are classes, and one of the participants can conduct them. And Zita always shares with us how she communicates with the clients, how she does some other things. It's very cool. I connect the third hour guest, Victoria Kozak. She's from Ukraine, from Vinnytsia, and she also studied with us as a coach and successfully works with enthusiasm. I think she's the star of face building in Vinnytsia. She has a very cool page on Instagram. I also highly recommend you to subscribe. Now, I will connect her and she will also tell about her path to this profession. Her story is also very interesting. Hi, how do you feel? Have you recovered already? I still have nasal congestion. It's hurting my voice, but I'm already on my legs. And by the way, I want to say that I noticed that since I'm in the face building, I get ill less, and all my colds go a lot easier. I actually associate this with the fact that I began to work with muscles, lymph current, blood supply, and breathing. I start doing hypoxic breathing delays a few times throughout the day. Maybe here works self-nuisance effect, but it seems to me that it helps. So thank you very much. Yes, I feel better. Vika will speak Ukrainian because it's her native language. But if you do not understand something, then write down and we will ask Vika to switch to Russian. I believe that a person should speak his own language, especially since I'm sure that there are many girls from Ukraine. Tell us, please, how did you become fond of the face building and why? How did you decide to become a coach? This is such a long story. In fact, there are a lot of reasons why I started doing face building. Before quarantine, I was diagnosed with hypertension of the facial muscles. It was a shock for me when I came to the orthodontist. Reading the comments, I want to say I'm 31 years old. When I came to the orthodontist, I wanted to change my bite because I know I had an overbite since I was a kid. She touched my head, pressed on different parts of my face, and asked whether it hurts or not, and said that I can't change my bite because I had a hypertension of my facial muscles. I asked her what to do, and she advised me to look for an osteopath or some specialist working or dealing with spasms and clips. Then the quarantine happened and everything closed and I didn't know where to go or what to do. I started searching the internet, started looking for something on my own and found facial gymnastics. But first I found revitonics. I somehow didn't really like it. I going for that I like and where I am comfortable. There I didn't like something. It was very categorical. And then I saw you and the program Everything Will Be Fine. Found your school, learned all the coaches, watched all the programs, read your book and realized that I want to study. I studied with Ira Belskaya and went through all the spasm. Earlier, I woke up in the morning with headaches. As then it turned out that this was also due to hypertension of the facial muscles. Literally in 3 classes with Ira, the pains left me. I woke up and understood that nothing hurted me. I realized it worked. I did everything enthusiastically. I really liked it. I wear lenses also. When I woke up in the morning, I saw puffs under my eyes, deep, deep puffs. I always asked my beautician, why do they show up? And she said I was sleeping in a wrong way. I was only worried about wrinkles when I started studying. Ira explained to me that this is muscle hypertension near the eye. After 5 classes, I realized that my puffs went away. It was my birthday soon, and I knew what I wanted as a gift. But there was no conversation about a coaching course yet. I told Ira all the time that I wanted to be a coach. Ira said there would be a course after the 5th class. I was more and more interested about the issues of coaching, face building. I felt it was mine. My husband was very supportive. I never say anything thoughtless. I will think everything over. I'll read about it. I'll think 10 times. He asked if I exactly wanted it. I replied yes, and after that, I began to study. I'm very glad, and it seems to me that this is my element. I directly joined it and sail along the stream. Great, super! Such an inspiring story, too. Tell me, please, was it hard for you to start or not? You have such a wonderful Instagram. You come up with all kinds of info reasons. How cool everything is. I admire you very much. How was it to start working in a small city? It was hard for me because I used to be a teacher. By training, I'm a teacher of foreign languages, English and German. And here, literally, in a year and a half, I changed everything and became a face builder. But people were a little wild. If I wasn't supported by my husband or parents in this area, I don't know if I could, because most people think it's curving in the mirror. Who's doing this? No one knew about it. No one heard about it. I studied the market. No one's doing this. I thought that while I'm young, I can try. Well, people always asked about my age and said that I'm still young, that there are no wrinkles at my age. I got my photos where I was 23 years old. I have saved them. My forehead was just like a professorial, a bunch of wrinkles. I had a nasolabial already and crow's feet, but no one paid attention to this. Firstly, it makes a profit, and secondly, I get pleasure from it. I've changed dramatically. Some say that in face building, we make people move the muscles of the face. We develop our brain. We change ourselves and our psyche. We calm down and develop the inner world. I think it was the same with me. I just became different. I became more confident and people saw it and began to be interested. They wanted to try. In any sphere, interested ones will be found. That's generally super. You always said that you were asked about Botox. I was neutral about it, and I always waited to be asked if I was injected. I remember these questions so much when we were sitting offline. One girl looked at me closely. I was speaking and she drilled me directly with her look, but in a kind way. And then, when the speaker asked if there were any questions, she said she had one and asked me if I was pounding my forehead. After hearing this question, I realized that I am a coach. Vika, that's super. Are you more online or offline now? I only work online. But there are some people who really want to meet offline because this is very lacking. We see each other, but it goes more in the technique of meditation, massage, conversation, more for the soul. And I conduct training only online. It's very convenient. I do not need to ask customers whether they are vaccinated against COVID, so I work online and that's it. That's for sure. Do you only have clients from Ukraine or from other countries? I know that you have clients from Poland. From Russia. One of the first serious clients was from Russia. I've been searching for all my clients. I suggested to try, but in Ukraine, women do not have so much time for themselves as abroad. Not that they do not have, they do not allow themselves. But abroad, they are more progressive. The first serious client, unknown for me, said that she saw me before and wanted to try. She paid for 10 classes at once. I was very surprised about that. I wanted it, but I wasn't ready for it. We started to work with her. I believe that it was all going up serious, that it wasn't toys. This is not curvature or pampering. It's actually a serious job, and this client instilled confidence in me. I asked her exactly why she chose me. She said she felt like I was a good coach. Thanks her, I began to believe in myself. I began to study with strangers. I began to raise prices, to be a volunteer, not to work for free, because before I worked a lot and regretted about it. Practice has shown that when you work for free, no one wants it, and the more price tag you put, the more appreciative you are. Yes, in fact, when a person pays, he knows what he gave for it, and he needs to work it out. At first, it's normal to work for small money, but then it's necessary to raise the price. Tell me how to teach and deal with braces. I think a lot of people are interested. Well, it's not hard at all. It's difficult when you put arcs on brackets. The first week was a spasm of the nasolabial muscles. Then I did massage, a relaxing technique, and my nose somehow relaxed. When they put the lower arc on the brackets, some strange and very painful processes began. But as a coach, I already know how to relax, and it seems to me that without the face building, the situation would be worse. Uniquely, well, there were no moments when I couldn't train due to my brackets. They did not prevent me from studying and teaching. This is a huge bonus that I know where to tap and how to relax. When you do everything right, with a relaxed face and with the zones that I have very strongly clamped, then there is no harm. Well, yes, great. By the way, Vika is a Coach of the Year. In the coaching club, we always choose the Coach of the Year, the most active one who has done more success. So, Vika is a Coach of the Year 2021. How did you begin to work on Instagram? Isn't it hard to do that? How are you inspired? It's hard on Instagram. You can find a lot of customers, but people see it as a free entertainment. When I give work information, the coverage is small. A few people evaluate it, and most flip. When I talk about personal life, something interesting and fun, people react better. I try to somehow combine my face building as an element of everyday life and family life with children. I started by teaching how to work properly. I consulted with an SMM specialist, with a friend who also started her business in parallel with me. And we exchanged with all kinds of tips with her, like what to do. She processed photos for me and I mounted videos for her. So great! At first, there were situations that I recorded a video that lasts 15 seconds for a whole 20 minutes. Then half of the day mounted it, and until the end of the evening, it turned out to be only one story to load. I didn't know how I would work like this, and my husband reassured me, said that everything would be easy in future. So it is now. First of all, I'm not so worried anymore. I was very worried about the haters. I was worried that people would write that I have no understanding, that I'm too young, that I have no medical education, and so on. But now, I have gone through it all, and now it's so easy for me. And it doesn't matter what they write to me. I know that my people will stay with me. Thank you very much, Victoria, for connecting. It's cool. I'm really glad you've joined us today. That's how it should have been. Actually, yes. Thank you so much. I will definitely note Vika in the description of the broadcast. You can go to her Instagram page. I always look at it with pleasure. Thank you so much. Recover and wish you good clients. See you soon. Goodbye. Bye bye. Today it turned out to be an amazing broadcast in my opinion. Please write down whether you liked it or not. Were the stories of real girls who studied with us interesting for you? And I have nothing to add because the stories are real cool. I admire how smart they are. Those who recently joined, let me remind you that we had a broadcast about coaching training, and the girls who connected with us were Elena, Zita, and Vika, our certified coaches who live in different cities, different countries, and work successfully. I will already finish, so if you have any questions about the coaching course, please write now because we have 5 more minutes and I will answer them. There is a message from someone that it was interesting to listen to Ukrainian. Yeah, I'm glad you were interested. I think the Slavic countries understood, even if you don't speak it. I'm sure you understood anyway. I could ask Vika to speak Russian, but she's so natural in Ukrainian. It's her language, her performance, so I think it would be wrong to ask her to switch to Russian. The nearest coaching course begins on the 17th of February. It will be led by Irina Biskaya, our coach. I think you know her very well. As I said earlier, the anatomy module and some lectures and other modules will be given by me. And of course, I will take the exams. I also want to say that on the coaching course, we certainly have a closed chat where I, your leading creator and coach, are, and there you can communicate and ask questions. We will help. We have a personalized and very cool course. That's all I can say. So someone wrote that we motivate. Thanks for the compliments. I remind you again that you can contact our manager and say that you would like to pay in installments, that you cannot immediately find the entire amount. It can be done, so don't delay. Today on the air, the girls brought you life stories. The girls also didn't have money to study, but they were supported. Zita somehow found when initially to study as a seamstress, but then she came to study as a face building coach. The course cost $2,500. This is a group format, 5 people in the group. So if this is really what you want, then wish with all your heart and you will have it for sure. Well, we will help as much as we can, so you can pay in installments. Who wants to find out the details? You can write in direct of JBFaceSchool. We also have a link to the bio account. There you can find coaching courses. You can read the program, what and how will happen, and join because it starts on the 17th of February, and as I said, it lasts for 6 months. Therefore, in the near future, there will be no other group. So do not postpone. Start now. It's a new year. It's a new start. It's really cool when you have a wish. I think you need to do what you really want to do. If there are no questions, thank you so much. I hope you were interested to listen. This broadcast remains on record. If there are any questions, write down. I will definitely know the girls. You can go to their accounts. They're very interesting people. Subscribe to them. Well, come to us on coaching courses. I'm sure that you will be satisfied and you will begin a new cool stage in life, which I believe will be very exciting. I wish everyone a good evening, and I'll see you soon on the coaching course.